Welcome to the Ref Room, hockey talk for referees, coaches, players, and fans. Broadcasting live on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch. With your hosts, Scott Smokin' Sills and Brad Baumrock.
Live.
The Ref Room starts right now.
And now your host.
All right, what's up, everybody? Brad, your audio. I don't know what happened there, but now your picture's back. But that audio, I'm gonna just dial them down for a second. What's up, everybody? It's Scott Smokin' Sills and Brad Baumrock. It is the Ref Room. It is Monday, and we got not a lot of hockey going on, but there's a lot. But the NHL, we're definitely gonna cover some NHL stuff today because, oh my gosh, I mean, this is unbelievable what's been happening. I don't know what's up with your audio, my friend, but you are just roaring of noise. Anyway,
I don't know what noise you're hearing. There's nothing on in this whole house.
do you hear it in your headphones?
Nope.
Wow. If you out there can hear it, put a comment in there so he knows, because he doesn't believe me.
It doesn't help. I can't do anything if it's going through the internet this way. That's on the software.
It's like it mutes out a little bit when you're talking, but when you're quiet, there's like crazy noise. Anyway, let's get to it. The Hawks. They have the number one pick. Are you kidding me? Like, how did this happen? We have the number one pick. Yes, I know we were one of the worst teams in the NHL, so we deserve a number one pick. But we weren't the worst team. And we only had an 11% chance of getting the pick. There's a lot of GMs that are upset. There's a lot of coaches that are upset. There's a lot of owners that are upset. Should we have had the number one pick is the question. I mean, I'm excited. Think about how many hundreds of millions of dollars Bedard represents to the NHL and to Chicago. I mean, think about it. If the Hawks take Bedard, which they would be crazy not to, they would probably be guaranteed that every game that they play next year will be a sellout. I would say every game that they will play, not only in Chicago, but in every city, every market, no matter how good or bad the team is, they are going to be packed. I mean, that's unbelievable.
Yeah. Scott, if you looked at what they had happen when they drafted him, not drafted, and then they got the pick, their phones were ringing off the hook. So just imagine if he actually gets picked, and then people know.
They sold, I don't know, even know what the number was. It was millions of dollars of tickets within an hour and a half. And season tickets, packages, everything. I mean, just went bizarre. They don't even have the guy yet. He's not even signed to the Blackhawks. Like, he's not even drafted at this point. So, I mean, that just tells you, like, the anticipation. But then let's look at the flip side of the coin. And I'm going to thank Mark Bialko for this because he sent me a video about Patrick Kane and how sad it is he'll never be a Blackhawk again. And yet he's got over 1,000 points in the NHL. We've given up a guy with over 1,000 points, and we're getting somebody they're not test-driven yet. We haven't seen anything from him. We've seen him on TV. We've seen him at the junior games. He's 17 years old. Is he even ready to play in the NHL next year at 17?
Well, I think he'd be 18 at that point.
Probably, yeah. But I mean,
people said that Patrick Kane and Jonathan Toews weren't ready either, but that worked out in their favor.
Worked out really well, didn't it?
Crosby came in.
I know.
Gotta at least give him a shot. Can't count him out already.
Now the big question is, like, who's he going to play with? They got to find a team for him. They've got some work to do. Boston was reportedly willing to give up like Pasternak and their starting goalie just to get into a talk to trade for the number one spot to try to get him to come to Boston. The Hawks would be crazy. Like I'm sure they could get a couple more number one picks, but to pass on this opportunity would be insane in my book. I mean, this is just been handed to him. And the way it got handed might have been a little questionable because I think Kevin Weeks had something happen during the commercial break that led to the Hawks having the number 1 pick without even like having a drawing. So, you know, is that rigged? Do you think the NHL draft is rigged?
No. I think we're just very fortunate.
I think we are too. I think we're really fortunate.
And you know, if it was rigged, somebody would have found out about it by now, and there'd be a massive scandal going on right now. So I highly doubt that it's rigged.
Okay.
It's just, you know,
it's a conspiracy
it's
theory.
Fortunate.
Yeah, we're very fortunate.
Unfortunately, I'm going to have to go with yes.
Yeah, we are really lucky to, you know, be in that position. I mean, this turns everything around for the Hawks. I mean, I realize it's still going to take some time. Even if he's as good as everybody says he is, and he may even be better. He may be better. But the fact of the matter is, he's got to get here. We have to find some players for him to play with. They have to gel. A lot of things have to happen. I mean, you look at Connor McDavid and Edmonton, you know, probably the best player in the NHL right now. They can't win a Stanley Cup. They haven't yet.
They're trying.
I know. They're out now. I thought they were going to have a shot this time around. But, you know.
I was like, unbelievable.
You know, you got
me? I mean,
Vegas is, I mean, they're not an expansion team, but they're really close to it. And they're winning. The Kraken, they're an expansion team, still in my eyes, and they're winning.
Yep.
So, I mean, it's really going to be interesting to see.
Game 7 is.
I love that comment. Yes. I'm with you, my friend. I am with you. Yes. Yeah. Okay. Well, anyway.
I know where Jack's going.
Yeah, I know where he's going with that one.
Let's stay off the political thing.
Yeah. Yeah. I can't afford that lawsuit like Fox can.
You know, also, though, by the way, I did see a meme today, and it was, you know, the current president, and instead of Jordan's, it was their name. It was Air, you know, and it was quite comical. So if somebody sees it, they'll know what I'm talking about. But I like them, you know, when they make fun of people both ways. I could care less. We
may have Air Bedards pretty soon. I mean, somebody's got to be thinking about all this stuff. Think about all the marketing dollars that are going to go behind Connor Bedard when he comes to the NHL. I mean, the agent there has got to be like, just here's your number to talk to me. Here's the number. Just, you know, start putting your offers together, and don't even talk to us for anything under 7 figures to start. Okay. Maybe more, but we're going to start at 7 figures for anything. Okay. Whatever you have, bring your proposals. You know, I mean, this kid is going to go from, he's a high school student to being like the most sought after athlete in professional hockey and one of the most sought after players probably in any game. You know, I mean, it's.
Well, you know, maybe the Blackhawks will learn a little something from Patrick Kane, because, you know, he was young and he had some problems transitioning into the league, you know. And then remember there was the lockout. You know, he was playing really good and then he wasn't playing good and having issues, right? And then guess who went with him to that Swedish league or Finnish league or whichever one he was playing with during the lockout? His mom. Maybe they bring his mom with him this time. I mean, I know Alexander Ovechkin, when he moved here, he brought his parents with him.
Yeah. They stay there. His mom cooks for him and everything. I mean, he has like a stable family life, you know, some stability in his life. And I'm sure, you know, Bedard's going to have to be in the same situation. He's going to need either, you know, a veteran or two to step in and like mentor him and, you know, keep his head on straight and, you know, because
his head on his shoulders too.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
Bigger guys.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, you know, I can't imagine. I mean, you know, it's a lottery pick, but it comes with a lot of baggage. Okay. Like, you know, you can win the lottery and here's your sum of money. And it's like, great, thank you. How do I spend it? What's the fastest way? What do I do with it? How can I have some fun? How can I, you know, take care of everybody? Whatever. He's in a boat where here's your lottery ticket. We're ripping it a piece of it off for you. Here it is. Here's enough to get you going, and you're going to have a pretty nice lifestyle. And then his agent's going to come and go, oh, don't even worry about that. I got your back because there's plenty more right here. And then if he does well for a few years, here comes the other half of the lottery ticket. And he's probably going to be looking at, I don't know, if he produces a $100 million contract, I don't know what they're going to go for somebody of that caliber, if they're as great as they've been expected to be. So,
and it would be 3 years from now still. So he's got a lot of time to prove himself and mature and get even better than he is. Think about that.
Well, look at the Devils. You know, they took Jack Hughes, and Jack Hughes was, you know, a great prospect. Like, this guy is going to be unbelievable, and he's turned into a really great hockey player. I was watching him for the first time the other night. You know, he falls down an awful lot. If he was a referee, he'd be buying a lot of beer for people. Because just out of nowhere, he just goes down. Like, there's nobody within 50 feet of him. And there he goes. And he's one of the great players out there right now. So, interesting times. But, you know, he'd definitely be a candidate for buying a lot of beers for people. And he can afford to. You know, he's getting paid. He's a superstar. So, but, you know, the number of upsets. Are you blown away by the number of upsets right now?
I am upset, literally, that Toronto got upset by Florida, even though it's more interesting to watch it this way. But I was like, all right, Toronto, they should be able to just roll through Florida. But when we talked about this a couple weeks ago, remember I said to you, the only big thing is Florida's coming off hot now. Yeah. So Toronto better watch out. And it didn't go so well.
They got goaltending. Bobrovsky. Sorry. Bob is playing out of his mind. Do you realize the Toronto Maple Leafs did not score more than 2 goals in 6 straight games? It's pretty hard to believe. But now, I was sitting at a restaurant watching the game because I couldn't get the game here. Like, I got Fubo. I'm going to tell you right now, folks, I have Fubo. I don't get any of the Turner channels. So I have to go to a restaurant to watch most of the games because my $100 a month doesn't go very far, apparently, for my cable, for my my streaming TV. But
package, my friend, NHL package.
Yeah, I watched 6 or 7 angles probably of the possible goal the Maple Leafs might have had. I couldn't tell if there was whistle blown because they didn't have any audio on where I was. But that puck was over. That puck was a goal. Did the Maple Leafs get screwed? That puck was in the net. Sorry. They came back with the NHL rule that if the referee deems that play was stopped, play is stopped, whether he blows the whistle or not.
Yep.
But why would you stop play if the puck's not frozen? We're all referees. We face this situation from time to time. The only difference is we don't have 6 or 7 camera angles to go back to. You know, we don't have that ability. We have to make that call instantaneously. And we got to live with our decision, whether it's right or wrong. And you hope you got it right by being in good position. The referee was where he was supposed to be. But
he definitely was.
Yeah, and I mean, he got up basically on top of the net to try to see that. But from where he was with the angle, you know, he came in from the reverse side, and he's got no view at that point. And for all you coaches, all you parents, all you players, it's not always that easy. There is one side, and that is when the referee is on the back side and the play is on the front side, it's very hard to see what's going on at a goal line because
that can be a challenge, especially because there's, you know, a lot of moving parts too. You know, a player can get in front of you, or, you know, a part of a goalie can get in front of you, or worse, you see like something black go in the net and it's part of their equipment. I mean, then you're like, was that it? No, oh no, there it is. Like, so, you know, it gets difficult. I'm with you 100%. He's in the best spot that he could be, I think.
He did his job. He got where he was supposed to be. Just, you know, it's not technically a frozen puck unless it's covered, right? I mean, granted, referee loses sight of the puck, you can blow the whistle. I get that. But this is a situation where the guy is just down and the puck is loose. So I feel bad for Toronto because I was rooting for him, of course. But the fact of the matter is,
I was.
Well, I brought a few people around
the
apparently.
Too. Huh?
Yeah, see where that got you. Yeah, I mean, I'm shocked. We're gonna have Florida and Carolina. Boy, I bet the NHL is loving the TV ratings they're gonna have for that series.
Not big, I don't think. But
yeah,
hey, you never know. People still tune in, especially because it's with Florida right now being so hot. There might be a lot of people that tune in because I know
possible.
Like the game tonight, Game 7's tonight with Seattle.
Kraken.
And I'm going to be tuning in at 7.
Oh, absolutely.
And you'll have to go to the restaurant or whatever, but I'll watch it in my home.
Is it? What network has it?
Honestly, I don't remember.
If it's on ESPN, I get it, but that's all I get. I get ESPN. I don't get, is it TBS that carries the game? See, I don't even know. I think it's TBS. Oh well. But anyway, so I mean, what's our possible matchup? Our possible matchup is Carolina and Florida for the finals, and then on the West Coast we got.
Yep.
What do we have left? We got could be Dallas, could be Kraken. Taking on Vegas.
Yeah, a lot of warm weather areas.
Yeah. Isn't that amazing? That is kind of amazing. And then you look at Vegas, nobody ever wanted to give a sports franchise to Vegas. Oh my gosh, they gamble there. We can't have teams in Vegas. Now the Oakland Athletics, I think, just bought a piece of property today on the Strip so they can put up a ballpark.
I saw something about that is like right as we were getting on because I'm a baseball fanatic, so
yeah,
I saw something about it and I didn't get a chance to read it yet. But good news for you, it's on ESPN tonight.
Oh, good. Then I can watch it before I go play. What time does the game come on?
7.
7 Chicago, or is that 8 Chicago?
No, I'm pretty sure it's 7 Chicago when I looked earlier today.
Okay, cool. Well, then I'm definitely gonna be able to tune it in and check it out. I mean, at this point, I thought Vegas was a really good team. They've been good. Wanted to see them their inaugural year that they got to the finals. I would have loved to have seen them win it. I mean, that would have been just like miracle on ice, basically. So, but they've done a lot of things very well.
Even Seattle getting this good that fast.
Seattle's done everything right. They don't make mistakes. I mean, they've done an excellent job. Dallas looks great. Dallas is a good team. I mean, the West Coast, I think.
Well, the one thing, Scott, that I think it can attest to is that, the way the NHL is set up, expansions now, remember when an expansion would come out, they just get pounded game after game after game after game. And I don't think that ever really helped get any fans. And then by the time they get good, now they don't have any fans. So I think, their, positive attitude to, giving these guys some players, and letting them start off at least, mid-level or, at least competitive, I think it's paid off for the NHL because there's a lot of people in Vegas that watch, and there's a lot of people in Seattle that are going to their games. I mean, so I think that's a win for the NHL if you're expanding to a new market.
Yeah, I don't disagree. I mean, you're right. It used to be bad. You'd get an expansion team, and, they have to sell X amount of season tickets to get an expansion team. They have to have X amount of bodies in the seats. And in order to be able to do that, you need a quality product. I mean, who wants to go see your team lose every night for 3 or 4 years? It's not healthy. I mean, instead you got to be an original 6 team and have an empty building for a few years before you catch a break. But I mean, yeah. Again, though, I don't think we can even fathom the impact that having the number 1 pick in Chicago is what it's going to do, not only for the Hawks. I mean, yeah, that will be the biggest bar in town again, no doubt. I'm talking about the United Center. But the fact of the matter is, I mean, the money that will generate. I mean, you know how many kids are going to be buying jerseys that say Bedard on the back of them? You know how many kids are going to be coming to play hockey now that aren't playing, that might have thought about playing baseball? I bet we get a big uptick You know, we saw a little drop off when the Hawks weren't doing so well. I think we're going to see a big uptick in hockey in Chicago. And, you know, hockey's already great in Chicago. We got lots of games, lots of great hockey. It's all good. But I think we're going to have another burst of kids coming into play. I think you'll see.
I definitely think there's going to be a lot of Hawks jerseys going over the border. Because he's very liked in Canada as well, too. You can see he has a following already. So
yeah.
I think there's going to be a lot of red flying off the shelves going that way.
Yeah.
Just
yeah.
my opinion.
The jersey sales, I can't imagine how much money the jersey sales will generate. Not only that, think about it. You know, if you're a hardcore fan, they've changed out. So I think this past year was the last year for Adidas to make the jerseys.
Yep.
Fanatics or something is taking over, which means all the jerseys have to be remanufactured and resold. I mean, if you need a jersey right now, you can buy it online at a discount through the NHL because I think they had a sale on even during the playoffs because they got to get rid of the merchandise. So it's all fresh for next year with you know, the changeover.
Sponsor.
Yeah, exactly.
Sponsor.
Yep. So, yeah, I mean, I can't imagine like what they are dreaming up to sell because it's going to be going off the shelf really quickly. Now, with that being said, you know, so let's go back and look at Kaner. You know, there was talk that Quinville was in the mix to take the job in New York. Apparently, that's not going to happen.
Yeah,
but you know, I was starting to think that if Quinville got the Rangers, Kane would be staying there. I think that would have been a good situation for him. Probably a pretty good situation for Quinville. He would have acquired a really good team. Chance to go to another Stanley Cup for sure. Would he have brought Taves in as a third line center or a mentor for some of these guys? You don't know.
I don't think so.
Probably not, but
yeah, when the Blackhawks say that they're not going to re-sign you and they didn't trade you, that means unfortunately the Hawks weren't interested in signing him, of course, right? Also, on top of it, they couldn't even generate an interest to get like a 5th round draft pick for him. Because they would have traded him for something. I mean, that's just good business.
Well,
you know,
I wonder how many millions, and I'm not even talking 7. I'm probably going to talk 8 figures here that Patrick Kane probably lost by going to New York and not getting very far. Being out in the first round, not really producing. You know, I got to think he was looking for a 5-year contract wherever he was going to go, and it would have been for some serious money. I think now he's lucky if he sees the 3-year contract, and I don't think it'll be close to what he was hoping to get. That's my personal opinion.
He might want to go to someplace else and try again to win a Stanley Cup. You know, New York might not be the right fit for him.
No, I get that. I think, you know, chances are he probably is going to have to move. But even if he moves, you know, where is he going to go? I don't think he's going to get the length of contract that he was hoping to get and the dollar amount, because I don't think that
Toronto, they need it. I'll let the Maple Leafs have him if he can make an impact up there.
Look, I would love to see him in a Maple Leaf uniform. You know,
or Edmonton. One of those two. That I want to see one of those two win, like in the next couple years here. No offense.
Well, Toronto. I mean,
Canada.
You know, let's think about this. Toronto made 6 player changes at the deadline. 6 players. That's 2 lines. That's your front 2 lines, basically. That's a lot of change. You were doing well to have that much change and personality coming in and adjustment. It's a short period of time to get it done. You know, maybe it was a bit much. You know, maybe if they had only moved 2 or 3 pieces, you know, we can second guess all day long. Of course, if that goal had gone in, we might still be playing. You never know. But
hang on. The one thing I'll tell you too, it's the GM's problem, not mine.
Yeah.
So they can figure it out.
Yeah.
They have to answer their moves. I don't.
That's
have
what
to.
they get the
I'm
big
just
bucks
a nice
for.
Observer.
Yeah. So Messier's probably going to be taking over New York. What's your thoughts there?
I think that'd be a great spot for him. I mean, I don't think they're going to take him up at Edmonton. So,
but does he have any coaching experience? What's his background? Like, I know he's been an analyst on TV a little bit, but
So what? I mean, I would see, I think, you listen to Tony Romo on the TV, and I would say he'd be an awesome coach. Like in football, if you ever listen to the guy as an analyst, I don't listen to Mark Messier much because I don't watch a lot of games, and Ranger stuff, right? So,
Yeah.
but why not have a name and not only that, attempt somebody new? I mean, it's worth a shot always.
Well, Jonesy got a GM job out of being an announcer. He was an analyst for the NHL channel for a long time, and now he's a GM. So, these guys go in there with the possibility of getting a job. I'm surprised Taves was never mentioned for a front office job to keep him a Hawk, to be honest with you. I mean, he was.
Maybe they just haven't let it simulate. Maybe they did say something to him, and maybe he wants to see what he's going to do with his life. Because, you and me talked about this maybe about 6 or 8 weeks ago. Like, you're 30, 34, right? You've been getting your head kicked in. You've been at the rink for, 30 years, right? Gets old after a while. I can imagine that. Like, look at Dustin Bufflin. He just said, I'm done. And he said, I'm going to go. Yeah. I think he's I think he does like professional fishing tournaments or something. Somebody was telling me something really like way out there, like not fast or whatever. And he's doing that because he just wanted to change. And you know what? I think after all those years of getting your head kicked in, I think you can pretty much go do whatever you want in my book. Man, I think personally, that's just me though.
Well, do you think there's any chance that the Hawks, being that they're not really ready to put a player like that into play, that they would trade up for, and try to get some more picks and give up Bedard?
I don't know. I don't foresee him.
The Bears had the number 1 pick, and they traded it away. They traded it away.
I get it. Yeah, well, it is what it is. I mean, I don't foresee with Chicago and his dire status as they are right now, not making this pick. That's just me. But I could be 100% wrong because, the Avs got knocked out in the first round, and I thought they were going to go all the way. So there you go. Well, that's what I was pulling for.
Well, if you could have any player in the NHL right now, any player, I'm talking Connor McDavid, I'm talking about, any player out of Toronto, any player out of Boston, Florida, Carolina. There was one player.
Would I give up the first pick?
Let's say you could get 2 of those guys. Would you give up that first pick?
I wouldn't. You know why? Because it would be if he does turn out to where he's supposed to be, it would be the all-time world's biggest blunder. Trust me, that's just me. You would have to explain that to a lot of people if he panned out.
He's 17. He's never played in an NHL game.
So what?
If you could have Connor McDavid and
but who's Connor McDavid going to win with now? Nobody. There's nobody at the Hawks. So,
but he's proven that he's a great player and that he has the ability to play in that league. Given the right situation, he's probably going to win a Stanley Cup at some point in his career. Would you be willing to give up this 1 pick to get somebody of that caliber?
No.
Okay.
I'm not.
Yeah.
Personally, because I again, it'd be the biggest blunder, and not only that, there's nobody here for him to play with. Like, if you had one line, then all right, maybe we could talk about it. But why not?
We don't have right now. We don't have one line, and the only guy that's not movable is Seth Jones. And I'm not the biggest Seth Jones fan. I don't think he's a terrible defenseman, but he's certainly not a number 1 defenseman. Not in my opinion.
Our number 1 defenseman.
Huh? He could be my number 1 defenseman on my men's league team. I'd take him. Yeah, come on over. We'll find a spot for you.
Yeah, we'll just have you stand in front of the net. So
we could do that too. We're gonna go with. As a matter of fact, we're gonna go with 6 forwards now. We're just gonna put you back there. Make sure nothing goes in, okay?
Yeah. No, I mean, I just think the best way to do it is, get this pick. And then they have some picks coming up, too, in the next couple of years.
Yeah.
Try to build a team around it again. I mean, I think that's the best way. Plus, you're going to have some guys coming up on free agency, in the next couple of years. And the Blackhawks are going to be an attractive market if Bedard's there. So think of that way, too. Think of it in reverse. Like, would would, one of those guys, top NHL player right now, if they're coming up in the next 2 years on a contract, would they maybe sign with the Hawks in order to play with Bedard? It could happen. I mean, so
Yeah.
I think it would be an absolute blunder not to take the first pick, but I'm not the GM and I really don't care. That's his problem.
Yeah. I mean, that's his job.
I'm going to make fun of him either way. Whether.
Well, what do you think of the idea? Bowman was talked about with going to a couple teams.
I heard.
So, that's kind of another interesting situation.
Big last name.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I would have loved to have seen, Coach Q be able to get back in the mix. I mean, one of the greatest coaches of all times, and he's not going to be able to be in the Hall of Fame, I don't think, at this point in time, unless something changes or he gets back in and they let these, let things move on. I don't know. That's, information that we don't have, because I'm sure there's way more to all these stories, and we're not going to be able to get that information. So,
rightfully, and we shouldn't.
Yeah.
To be
So
honest
we'll
with
see.
you, that's between the league and the teams.
Yep. So there's probably more than we know about, obviously. For all you that are out there watching, what's your thoughts? I mean, would you give up Bedard? Would you be crazy to give up Bedard? I mean, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
I think
Brad says, hey, I don't disagree.
I do. I just think it would
I'm
be
telling
a
you,
blunder.
even
not to
if he was the biggest bust ever, he's still going to more than pay for himself so many times over. It's not even funny. So
well, and really busts, like they don't get talked about as much as to where you traded away the really good guy. You don't hear the story about Michael Jordan, where he made his high school basketball team. You hear the story about where he didn't make his high school basketball team.
Yeah.
Right? Or you hear about, who was it? Brett Favre, got traded after he got drafted. Okay? I mean, like, come on. You don't hear about, the guy that was drafted and was, halfway good throughout his career. I mean, it's still a bust.
Let's go back and look at the Lindros deal. Are you old enough to remember the Lindros situation?
I am absolutely a Lindros supporter, and I loved the way that guy played hockey, but his head got beaten in, and that was unfortunate.
And he was a big guy too.
His career.
Yeah, for sure.
Very big guy.
For sure. But I mean, there was a lot of controversy. He was touted as being the next Gretzky, and when he decided he didn't want to go where he was going to be drafted, it opened up a can of worms. Where was that? Was that the Nordiques or something? I can't remember at the time.
Something like that. Because he ended up at Philly, right? Yeah.
Yeah. Well, ultimately, he ended up at Philly. But I think he had a couple other stops along the way, if I'm not mistaken, or did he have a couple stops after Philly? But he did most of his career was at Philly, and he was a solid player. I mean, again, you get somebody that's an elite player, they're always going to be an elite player. They're better than the average. It's just the way it is.
The Nordiques, you were correct, sir.
Yeah, Nordiques.
I thought you were right, but I just wanted to make sure that you were.
Yeah, thanks for fact checking me. We fact check around here, folks.
I was pretty sure you were right, so I wanted to look it up and give you the credit.
Yeah, and the Nordiques became the Colorado Avalanche, right?
Correctamundo, sir.
See,
I love the Nordiques jerseys, by the way. That's just a personal thing.
Oh, those were some of the best. The Florida, what is it? Fleur-de-lis. What do they call that? The logo. It's the Fleur-de-lis or something like. I can't remember what it's called, but I just think those are gorgeous. Great color blue.
Blue. Wow.
One of the best uniforms. And the Whalers. Another one of the
Whalers uniforms too. I have an old Whalers jersey.
Yeah, and I like the Vancouver Canucks, the original with the hockey stick logo for the V, which was Vancouver.
Okay.
And the blue-green, I just thought that was such a good-looking uniform. I'm sorry they got away from that, and they went to that god-awful, I'm going to call it god-awful, that black blue with the yellow. It looked like almost the German Olympic uniform, but, like the V's, like in this big, bold color. I mean, they were definitely out there. I mean, that was not my favorite. Not one of my favorites by any means.
I like the old Pittsburgh jerseys with the blue on them.
I did too.
Yeah, I thought those were sharp. They wear those every once in a while. They bring them
Yeah.
back every couple of years.
And I like the Kings when they had the purple and gold and the gold and purple. I thought that was a good looking uniform too.
Yeah, I do too. I like that one too.
You know,
I have an old jersey like that too.
Yeah. I mean, the Ducks had a great uniform when they came out. I love the logo on it. You know, they kind of changed around, didn't want to look like, Disney kids or whatever. Matt says Lindros finished as a Leaf. Yeah, I don't remember that. I honestly don't remember him finishing as a Leaf, but I would have liked that. I mean, I was following Leafs really heavily when Sedin was there and when Mike Brown, who's been on our show, Mike played in Toronto. I loved when he was playing on Toronto, and Ty Domia was on that team, and they were just tough and grinders. I forget, they had a really good Soviet player on that team. I think he was Soviet, and I can't remember what his name was. McGillney. McGillney was on that. Like, they had a really good team. That I liked the Leafs back then. I like them now, and I hope that,
was Gilmore on that team too?
I think he was at one time. I think he was in the latter part of his career.
Been on there. Yeah. I think he had to have been with them.
Yep. Yeah, they had a solid team. I mean, yeah, I wish they had won a cup at that time, and they didn't. But they certainly had the potential all along. It's not an easy thing to win. There's so many good teams out there. Let's face it, you got to win 16 games. 16 games gets you a cup. 16 games is a lifetime.
And you can play 28.
Exactly. And you just took the words right out of my mouth. That is correct. You could play 28 games. Yeah, we're gonna play for something. Let's play 28 games and see how it goes. Okay, let's beat each other's heads in for 28 games. And that's something else. The officials are getting absolutely beat up on playoffs hockey. Didn't used to be that way. They used to put the whistle in their pocket and nobody said boo. It's like, yeah, it's playoffs. Everybody knows whistle's in the pocket. That's it. Do you think the way the game has changed, and I'm going to look at it from this standpoint, they're back to playing real hockey. It's very physical. They're hitting. They're beating on each other. Yeah, during the regular season, it looks like no check hockey. Honestly, it looks like no check. There's an occasional separation. It says, oh, sorry, didn't mean to do that. My apology. Pat on the back, and they skate off. Now it's like, oh, no. This is how hockey's supposed to be played. Should there be an adjustment in the penalty standard maybe a little bit? Like, is the NHL still wanting that very, like, you touch a stick, it's a slash, you reach in, it's a trip, or, should we have had a little bit of an adjustment there?
I personally feel the NHL has the entire regular season backwards, but that's just me. Where we're going to call 7 billion penalties. I mean, I get it. I get that they want to have the scoring, but for somebody like me, here's how I look at a lot of NHL games. Not right now. The playoffs have been good, so I'll be definitely honest. But it's a bunch of guys skating up and down the ice. If I wanted to watch guys skate up and down the ice, you know what I would watch? Speed skating. Okay, I'm not interested in speed skating. Even though, let me tell you, that is an absolutely insane sport. They're moving super fast, and those are top athletes at the top times. Guess what? They go around in a circle, and that's it. Okay? If NASCAR never crashed, nobody'd watch it. Okay? I know a lot of people do watch it for the racing, like I do, because there are some cool things that they do. But if they never, ever crashed, 50% of the people would never tune in. So, there you go. So, just, people like a train wreck. And you know what? I don't understand to where, I get where the NHL, it puts a black eye on hockey where they fight, right? Well, here's what I don't understand. If the UFC is grossing so much money on pay-per-view, why would you ever want to get it out of your sport? Wouldn't you? I mean, I don't think you want it like, minor pro hockey 7-fight night, or else your beer is free on us night. I don't think you want any of that. But, I don't think you want to encourage it, but I don't think it should also be like this end all be all. Where do they have, they can fight 5 times or 10 times in the regular season, and then they get fined and.
Yeah, and the instigator penalty, really?
Well,
There's a reason why they're fighting.
I get.
There's a reason why is, the instigator because you decided to start the fight because somebody else did something dirty. That makes you the bad guy. You got to pay extra for that. I don't agree with that.
Well, it's but that's also to protect a guy that wasn't willing to fight. You have to have your opponent be willing to fight. That's where the instigator comes in.
Well, that's where the enforcer comes in to make sure that the right people are paired up. Okay.
Yeah, but the right guys pair off in a civilized brawl.
Civilized brawl.
But yeah, I mean, because hey, how many times would there be a big hit on somebody, and it wouldn't even be the enforcer that hit the guy, but he's out on the ice with the other enforcer, and the next thing you know, those two are fighting.
Right.
The other guy
They'll
gets
settle
left
the
alone
score.
if the enforcers are fighting.
They'll settle the score.
So I don't know. I miss it. I like that part of hockey. I thought that made the sport interesting. Plus, I'm a big fan of. I think it resets the game.
I'm not sure
about to go over the edge.
If you're a player, I'm not sure you want to be the enforcer. I think a lot of guys are tapped to that's going to be their job. I don't think they really care for that because they know they're going to get their brains beat in every night. It's not fun. I'm sure it's not fun.
I don't know. Have you ever talked to any enforcers, man? Some of those guys loved it.
Well,
man. They'll still talk to you about it. Like,
I know. You remember Jocelyn Lemieux from the Blackhawks?
Yeah.
Okay.
No, exactly.
Joss was a good friend. I think they, if you ever met him, like, his arms were the size of legs. I mean, he was built. He had that square jaw and the chin that was like carved out of stone. He was a big goal scorer. He was like, 100-point player in juniors. And, probably his best NHL season, probably got close to 20 goals one season. But, I think they wanted him to be more of an impact player in the physical side of things and more of a banger and more of a, I'm not going to call him the enforcer because you had, who did we have back then? We had, oh, shoot.
Was Probert on that team?
No, it was before.
Shooter?
No. Oh, man, I can't think of it. And he skated out at, skated with him all the time during the lockout at center ice. Peluso was around at that time. And Grimson. Grimson was the
that's
Stu.
Because remember, that's where they had that multiple fight in a row where the guys kept coming back out on the ice. I think all 3 of those guys were involved in that.
Yeah.
I think all 3 of them were. Like,
probably.
Grimson fought a guy, and then Lemieux went back out there, and then he fought a guy. But I'm talking like, as they were breaking up the one, 2 more guys got off, and then they went at it. So
yeah,
I remember that was in the late '80s, early '90s.
Yeah, I mean it was
still interesting. Equipment would come off, shake the jersey off, pull the guy's jersey over his head. Which, by the way, if you really think about that, that's incredibly dangerous. Like, I don't agree with that kind of stuff.
Well, that's why they've got the game ejection if you don't have the fight strap on. So the NHL jerseys all have a fight strap. And if that comes undone, whether it's your fault or not, you're going home.
Yeah,
it's your responsibility, even in the fight, that has to stay on you.
And little known fact that you might not know is after the fight, if it comes off, they actually have to turn that jersey in for evaluation.
Oh, okay. Didn't know that, but that makes sense because
make sure that the player, if they were wearing it, did it break, and how can they make it better? Or B, did they tamper with it? And also C, is there a better solution? So they've thought about it. It came off. Well, let's see what happened here. Oh, you cut it with scissors beforehand, all the way except for a quarter of an inch. Yeah, we know why it didn't stay on. We got you.
Yeah.
So, but
could have been one. Could have been one in your buddies in the locker room that wasn't happy with you. Went and altered the jersey. He goes, well, he's going to be fighting tonight. Let's see what happens when this pops. And then pull the jersey over his head. see if he does that again to me, okay?
Yeah, you trying to say that Chris Sale was in the Hawks locker room?
I don't know about that, but I'm sure.
When he cut his jersey all up at the White Sox because he was upset with the jerseys that they had. He didn't like it, so he just put it up in the locker room.
That's right. Yeah.
All right. Well, that's been fun. Some memories, some good memories, by the way.
Yeah.
From the Hawks early 90s, 80s when they were still, banging it around.
For sure.
90s.
And that's when they were still at the United Center. I mean, that was the last team really to play at the United Center. Kind of the end of it. You had Chelly was playing back then. Ronick was there playing.
Ed Belfour.
We had Dirk Graham was the captain.
Yeah.
I mean, we had a really good team. They were solid. That was a solid squad. I'm kind of surprised that they were never able to win a Stanley Cup because they did have a really good team. And the sad thing, let's look at Ronick. I mean, I know Ronick's out of the broadcasting, but I'm sorry he never got to really come back and be a Hawk. I mean, did he have multiple 50-goal seasons? I can't remember. I think he had one or two for sure. I think Daze was probably the last guy to have a 50-goal season in Chicago, wasn't he? Kaner never did that. Did he have a 50-goal? I didn't think he had a 50-goal season. I could be mistaken. You guys can fact check me on that. I don't claim to be an expert on that. But are you fact checking me on that? Please do. Oh. If anybody out there is watching and put it up in the comments because I'm not sure Kane had a 50-goal season. I know he was very close. I know Daze had a 50-goal season, and Daze, unfortunately, had the back problems. I mean, that's what put him out. But I will tell you, I worked a game at Fifth Third. It was a charity thing for like a fantasy camp, and Daze was playing. Daze is still a beast. He is unbelievable with the puck, moves unbelievably well. I mean, I don't know how back then, and he's a big guy. Guys used to be my size back in the NHL days. Not Daze. He was a big boy. I don't know how they stopped him. I mean, he was that good. So for him to go down and not be able to get the full career that he would have liked to have had, I mean, he would have done a lot for Chicago back then. So what'd you come up with? You froze. I didn't freeze. What's that?
Ronick, Hall, and Al Secord.
Oh, Secord at 50. I forgot about that.
Bobby Hall and
Ronick. How many times did Ronick hit 50?
Yeah, in the 80s. I never would have thought of that.
Ronick did it twice. Yeah. How many times did Hull do it? 5. Secord did
scored 5. And he also scored. Well, Ronick also scored the last goal at the Chicago Stadium and the first goal at the United Center.
Wow, that's history right there. Why is he not retired as a Chicago Blackhawk, huh? How do you chase somebody away like that? That's too bad. Great player.
Yep. No,
great player.
Oh yeah.
And actually, I got to tell you, JR is really he's a very nice guy. He married very well. JR never had to work a day in his life. He married a young lady. Her father was a developer in Boston. Really nice person. Good people. But JR could have just had fun and done nothing. Instead, he went out and got his 50-plus goals and had one of the great USA hockey careers. I think that's just a testament to who he is. I mean, I think he was one of the best players we saw in Chicago.
I agree. And, I do want to say, I think there is a hotel somewhere out there that would like to still have a talk with him, Keith Kachuk, and Brett Hull after the Olympics. Just gonna put that out there. So, I don't know if you remember that story.
I do remember. I know there were some issues. I don't remember who was involved, so thank you for refreshing my memory.
I do, because Ronick was my favorite player. So.
Yeah. Well, wouldn't be the first player in hockey to do damage to a hotel room.
Won't be the last either.
Right. Guaranteed. Won't be the last. That's for sure. All right. Well, this was kind of fun. We didn't have to talk ref stuff today. We got a little bit in on the NHL, but I just think what a momentous occasion for the Blackhawks to have the first round pick and don't screw it up. That's all I can say. All right, make sure you pick Bedard, and then let's do our homework and get some players that can come play with him, because he's going to need some help out there to be successful.
Going to have to start going through some other teams' third and fourth lines and see if you can find somebody that can advance with him. That's what I think you're going to have to do right now.
Yep.
So,
do you think so? He'll be 18. Do you think he comes in and plays a full season next year, or do you think he works his way in and plays a few games and takes a break and comes back and plays a few? And
depends if he wants to go to university.
No, we didn't.
I haven't heard anybody ask him that.
Well, he's going to be going to the University of High Payment, so I don't think he has to worry about doing that. But again, he could do that after his career if he chose to. I got to think hockey's his future. He's got his golden ticket. He's good to go. He needs the education. I don't disagree with that, but I don't know that, I think that's something that's 10 years down the road for him, or 15 years down the road for him. I think he needs to have good people around him, good management, and, that kid's bred to play hockey. So, he's getting to where he wants to be and what he does best. And that's all you can ask in life, is that you find the career you want to do and that you excel in it. And I think he's certainly proven himself so far to have done that. So I wish him the best, man. I'm excited for him. I'm going to be rooting, that's for sure. I want to see that kid become the greatest player ever, and that's a big statement, because we've had some great ones, the Gretzkys and the Lemieux of hockey, and we can go down the list. But to even be put up in that category now at that age of 17, he's got a lot riding on his shoulders, a lot of shoes to fill when he gets here, because everybody's going to be looking to him, for even leadership. They'll be looking to him for. Yeah, absolutely. A lot of people's livelihoods riding on it, especially general managers and coaches, and guys playing on second and third lines.
Strength coaches are going to have
strength coaches, skating coaches, shooting coaches, video coaches, everybody that's a coach, even whoever is putting the laces in his skates, the equipment manager's job is on the line to make sure he has what he needs and that everything is perfect. So if you're the CCM or the Bauer rep, you might have your work cut out for you. And you're going to have to order a lot of equipment, because he's going to be going through a lot of sticks and a lot of gloves and a lot of jerseys and a lot of everything. So, he's definitely going to be feeding a lot of people. That's for sure. All right. Well, with that being said, it's going to wrap it up. We'll be back in 2 weeks. We do this every other week during the summer now. There's still hockey out there. There's still games. I think we've got, maybe 2 weeks left in our season with youth hockey, and then maybe some tournaments. But for the most part, things are starting to wind down. Have you been reffing? You been doing games?
Let's see. I did some high school stuff last week, and then I got nothing right now. I'm taking a couple weeks off at least. Yeah. I know there's going to be another tournament coming up here in June. I might skate for that and get out and maybe hit some men's league and see some of those guys that I haven't seen as much. Some of those.
Come on over. We could use some good referees where we play. So we'd love to have you.
I'm not driving away where you play.
All right, my friend. Always a pleasure. We will see you guys in 2 weeks, 5:30 p.m. right here on Monday in 2 weeks. On behalf of Brad Baumrock, I'm Scott Smokin' Sills from Chicago area. Thank you all for joining us. And go Bedard. Let's go Hawks, and let's go. I don't know who you're rooting for. We didn't get you on that. You like Carolina or Florida?
I'm going with Florida again. They came in hot again.
I think Carolina's the better team. I'm going with Florida. If Bob carries them, I think they can get to the finals.
I know as they keep getting those shots of him with his helmet off for all the women, they'll be happy.
who do you like for the game tonight? Game 7, Kraken and Dallas. Who do you like?
I want to say I hope Dallas, but I think the Krakens they're looking pretty good too. I mean, I don't know.
Wouldn't that be wild
I'm
if the final matchup out west would be Vegas and Kraken, basically the two expansion teams.
Mm-hmm.
They're the two newest teams in the league. Yeah, that would be interesting. So who do you like all the way? You going Florida for the whole cup?
I'd have to see next round, to be honest with you. I don't know. I mean, I think it's going to – now you're getting into where people are going to be beating each other's heads in.
Mm-hmm.
Like, and now we're going to really start to see some guys.
Hockey.
Injuries are going to be.
I think it's called hockey. Yeah,
I know, but I think that would be. I'd like to see how many games other people have to play as well.
Yeah.
Before.
Yeah, it's going to take a toll for sure.
Yeah. 100%.
Yep. All right, guys. We'll see you in 2 weeks. Thanks for joining us again. Got Smoking Sills and my man Brad Baumrock. Peace out, everybody. Have a great week. I can't find the finish button.